Before I can get to the questions, I have to set the stage, present the context. What is the context here? And the context is that we have a difference in the notions of what philosophy is. That's where it all starts. It starts that we don't all seem to have the same notion of what philosophy is. And so when I say philosophy and when I talk about Ayn Rand specifically, and I attack her, I dissect her, I have a different notion of what philosophy is. In fact, I'm saying that she was not a philosopher. And neither was anyone from Aristotle all the way to, I don't know, to Noam Chomsky. None of those people are philosophers. Okay? And so you might say, well, Bill, who are you to say what philosophy is, what philosophy ain't? It starts at the beginning. And the beginning is that, first of all, we can't just use a term in a given sense because we've used it like that for the last 2,500 years. If there is no rational definition of the word philosophy, then we cannot use that word. We have to redefine it or define it for the first time, really. That's what it is. Right now we have different notions of what philosophy is, and everybody thinks they know. And it turns out that everybody's talking past each other. Everybody's talking about something different. One guy says it's about ontology, and they have this branch known as ontology. Another says, no, it's epistemology. Another guy says, no, it's political science. Another one says, no, it's ethics. Another one says, no, it's aesthetics. All of this is philosophy? What is philosophy? What is a philosopher? What does a philosopher do? And so if we are going to use the word philosophy rationally in a discussion, in a debate, we absolutely must define the term. I'm sorry. And if this breaks with tradition, and I'm the only person on earth who holds this view, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. If we're going to talk sensibly, we have to define the term. We have to find out what philosophy is before we can talk about philosophy. And not everybody will agree because a lot of religions die with rigorous definitions. And that's why people don't like to change. They say, well, no, I'm not going to change that. This is what I learned in high school. This is what I learned in college. This is my experience with philosophy, and you're going to change all that right now? Well, if we're going to use the word philosophy consistently, rationally, in a debate, yes, I'm going to change all that. I'm going to do my utmost to change all that, okay? And so we should spend 2 years arguing about the word philosophy rather than applying the word in senseless manners and going around in circles and talking past each other because we're not on the same page. Okay, does that make sense? And not only am I defining philosophy, there's been a paradigm shift, and that's what this channel represents. Rational science. What is rational science? Why do we call it rational science rather than just science? Well, we want to distinguish it from what we've been doing for the last 2,000 years, which is known as science. Really, that term came about right after the 17th century so-called scientific revolution. So it used to be called natural philosophy. Now we call it science, okay? But the point is that we say that's not science. What is science? I mean, here we lost our track because all these people are giving us irrational explanations for how the universe works. Space-time bends, time bends. That's gravity. Geometry, as they call it. Time has to do with geometry. Particle can be at two places at once, quantum mechanics. And I'm going to the extreme cases here, but just to make my point. The point is, we only have irrational explanations, and we have people like Richard Feynman and Leo Susskind, professor at Stanford, and they say, look, we don't understand these theories. We don't understand our own theories. We can't make sense of them. And so then we got a problem. because these people say, oh, we've proven the theory. We've proven quantum mechanics. We've proven general relativity. You know, they've proven all this, but they tell you then that they don't understand their own theories. So we got a little bit of problem. We got a little contradiction there, okay? We either understand and can explain, or we don't understand and we just admit it and say, look, we're ignorant. I mean, that's, I think, the way it should be, right? Anyways, I had to define not only what philosophy is, but also what physics is and what science is. So all these three terms have new meaning in this channel. Does this mean that you have to agree to these definitions? In science, we don't agree to definitions. In science, we get inside the ring and fight for our definitions and defend them with shield and sword, if they allow you in the ring with that, okay? We're in the Colosseum here, you know, and it's you with your shield and, you know, me with my sword and so on. You got to fight for your definitions. And you can't just say, well, this is what everybody else thinks. I don't care what everybody else thinks. Here we are on an island. It's you and me, buddy. So, you know, there's no crowd out there, you know, booing or cheering. Okay, you got to defend your own definition. That's the way we do it in science. And if you can show my definitions are inconsistent, then I can't use them consistently, rationally, scientifically, then you have a point. So that's where we start. We start at definitions. Okay, and so before I get to the questions that people asked and some of the comments people made, which I'm going to be addressing today. There's a long list there. I didn't think so many people were into this, but yeah, people are interested in these subjects. Okay, I got to go with Ayn Rand's definition of philosophy because it's essentially the notion that everybody else has out there. So I think she's a perfect representative of what people think philosophy is, or what this notion that people have, this vague notion people have of what philosophy is. And what I'm saying is, again, if it's easy to show that Ayn Rand's notion, and I don't pick on, I'm picking on Ayn Rand, yes, but essentially I'm really, she is in particular, but in general I'm picking on philosophy, on what the notion of philosophy. You know, I go into the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and it's all garbage, all nonsense. Not a single word survives. You will not be able to go in there and pull out a definition. And not a single one. Listen to what I'm saying. It's not like you can get out there, at least the ones I've seen, you know, maybe I haven't seen all of them, but I'm assuming they're all the same way. They tell you the history of these words. They tell you what these words have meant to different philosophers throughout the ages. They don't tell you, look, this is the definition of exist, period. No. And this is the definition of knowledge. No, you won't find that. You'll find a long article and what the philosophers have said about knowledge or exist or what an object is throughout history. That's what you'll find. So you end up, you know, saying, well, you know, what is an object? What does exist mean? What is knowledge? And, you know, you won't find it in any, I'm also picking on the Stanford Encyclopedia, but you won't find it in the Catholic Encyclopedia, the New Advent. You won't find it in the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. You won't find it anywhere. You won't find it in the Wikipedia. You simply won't find definitions that you can sink your teeth into. So if we're going to talk rationally, consistently, scientifically here, we're going to have a debate, a discussion, a dissertation. We have to start by defining the crucial terms that make or break our arguments. Okay? That's what I try to do on this channel. Okay? And again, I'm not asking you to agree to my definitions. You don't agree with my definitions, get inside the ring and fight for your definitions. Okay? That's the way it works in science. You got to defend your definition, not say, well, this is what all the philosophers thought this word meant or whatever. You know, tradition will not save you.